Hey guys, welcome to another Mobile Geeks Mobility podcast. I'm joined with Dahlmann.
And this is Nicole Scott.
And today we're going to do our 2020 mobility predictions in two parts.
Yes.
Because LinkedIn has a 10-minute limit. And we are doing it now in January because we wanted to wait and see what happened at CES because it is an important show to set the tone for the year. Companies sort of say what they want. And so for us, we did a predictions video, but then we thought it'll be more on point if we waited to hear from the brands and what they wanted to do in 2020. So we're gonna kick off with ride sharing, car sharing, this big trend, because there was the big keynote.
And we have a special guest today.
Because this is Dawn's place, and there's premium cat content on the way. This is Constance.
Yes.
She'll be in our videos.
Make her famous.
Make her famous. And let's start off with Daimler, because the CEO made a pretty big statement saying it's not about selling less cars, it's about selling better cars. And what this says is that they are no longer going to be focusing on mobility and ride sharing in the same way. Their big push is selling more cars.
Exactly. So they're selling. The thing is, under Thatcher, the former CEO, they were making a switch to being a mobility provider and also a software company. And it's not that Kalenius, the new CEO, is saying we're going out of it, but he says we're more like freezing our investments or scaling down our investment and our focus from being a mobility provider more to being a manufacturing company which does luxury premium stuff.
And this is something we'd already seen in 2020. There's a definite consolidation of ride-sharing services and car-sharing services because it is just a money pit for all of these OEMs. They've been throwing money into it.
Yes.
And for us, mobility is the future. This reducing the number of cars in the city, the long-term vision has to be this, right? Switching from a physical hardware manufacturer to becoming a service provider. And if the car manufacturers don't do it, companies like Uber will.
And you see also already a rift in even in Germany between the main manufacturers, Volkswagen, Audi, and BMW, Daimler. So Volkswagen, the CEO Diess, just had a speech in front of his management, and he said, we are losing if we're not changing to be a software company. And if we don't do that, we're going to be the next Nokia, which is a very strong statement to that. So Audi, you talked to Hildegard Wortmann, the member of the board for, I think,
sales and marketing.
Sales and marketing, and she echoed it.
Yeah, she said we need to switch from being a hardware manufacturer, a car maker, to be a provider of experiences. And Audi's whole booth was focused on experiences. Their drive was a concept car, but it was showing the experience that they wanted to provide. So they had the HoloRide lens, and I got to fly through Guilin, and it was sort of saying, okay, we are really concentrating on what this third living space looks like.
Exactly, and then you see Daimler and BMW, who are very cautious about that and who seems to have a different strategy. You can argue that Volkswagen sells like 10 to 11 million cars a year, so they have a different approach and they need a different approach to that. And if you are a more luxury car manufacturer, you may be selling to people who are not willing to share rides or who want to have their own space and in their own car. So I can see it in a way why they are thinking about it, but in the end, what is going to happen in metropolitan areas, and you can see this move, and I think this is one of the predictions we're going to make, that you're going to see, starting with 2020, more and more cities banning cars out of their inner areas. There are some small cities already done it in Europe, and we know that Oslo is thinking about it, we know that Copenhagen is thinking about it, we know that Paris is thinking about it. London have these ultra low emission zones now where you're only allowed to drive with BEV cars, or you have to pay a tax on it. So there is a move to it, and we can see it also here in Berlin, which is like the center of mobility in Europe, where there's a strong move against more space for cars. So it's literally the other way around. It's more space for bicycles, for pedestrians, for ride sharing, for e-scooters and all that. So there is a move to it. So if you lose your customer, or if people start not buying cars in cities, and this is where most of the people are living in the future, or even now, you will lose customers, and you will sell less cars, which means you have to make more money from other stuff like ride sharing,
like services.
We see, on the other hand, and we talked about it earlier in our other video cast, is that we see consolidation on the ride-sharing market, like starting from e-scooters going to car sharing at the moment.
So building on this trend that cities are going to start to remove cars from their cities, let's talk about plug-in hybrids, because this is the big shift that BMW made, saying that, you know what, this is the future. When you drive into one of these emissions-free zones, we'll have a geofence, and boop, we're going to turn on the electric portion of the car, and then you're going to be safe and secure with this in the future. And we've been seeing this from a lot of automotive brands. So when we were at the Audi Insights Day, they were very bullish on their plug-in hybrid platform. I mean, of course, they are on their electric as well, but then the number of models that they're electrifying through plug-in hybrid is enormous.
But then on the other hand, I know data from Netherlands. And for example, in Netherlands, they put the plug-in hybrid out of the
emissions-free zone.
Emissions-free zone. You get some
subsidies.
Subsidies when you bought one, and you can't get any subsidies anymore if it's for business cars, fleet management, etc. They put it up because they found out that 80% of the drivers never charged their cars, and I think that's reality. I mean, I talked to some guys from another company, I can't name the company, but they have plug-in hybrids. They also have them in Netherlands, and they started to like gamify the process of like, hey, like some cars have these kind of green tree or whatever. So they tried to gamify to like encourage the users to charge the cars, but it also never really happened.
So in 2020, we're going to see automotive makers push plug-in hybrids like crazy. But I don't think that this is going to be a trend that's going to work long term. I think 2021, we're going to see it bite them in the ass. So 2020, plug-in hybrids are going to be on the uptake, but the companies that you should, or the news that you should keep an eye out on, are the companies that are saying, okay, we have a strong fully electric strategy.
Yes.
Because in 2021, when cities start to say, okay, it's not about, on paper, being electric and being CO2 neutral and all this, it's about how the people are using it. So it's either about creating incentives, creating different laws, and creating an accountability for using the technology that they're putting on the road, not just saying, hey, check, we got it.
Yeah, and talking about cities and the city development infrastructure-wise, also worldwide, and also in terms of autonomous driving, we will have a second part of our podcast. This is the first part. On YouTube, you just ignore that. Just let it keep going. But on LinkedIn, we have the 10-minute limit.
But we're going to continue talking about our 2020 mobility predictions, and we're going to kick it off with autonomous drive. My most interesting meeting at CES was from the CEO of VW Autonomy.
Yep.
And so VW is spinning off their 40-person team. They have the money to start an office in Silicon Valley and one in Munich. And their focus initially, they're going to roll out with, I think, the Caddy as their sort of test platform. And this is like robo-taxis, geo-fenced areas, autonomous drive 2020. That's all we are going to see.
No.
No?
No. Well, of course, there will be a lot of talks. I mean, you could see even this year at the CES that autonomous driving was not like on the top list of the topics that you could find, not like the years before. And the reason for it is quite simple. First of all, it's still technology, it's challenging in terms of technology. So they thought they could like develop the technology a bit quicker than it actually happened. But I think we are at the point, especially when you look at Waymo or look at Tesla, we're at the point where we are on the brink of like the breakthrough technology that you need for completely level 4, level 5 autonomous driving. But, and this is this huge, it's legislation and it's regulation. I did a piece on LinkedIn also in German. You can find it on my profile about the developing and legislation developing for autonomous driving, and it's stuck. It's stuck somewhere at UN ECE stuff, and it's like there in a forum, and they're developing a test for the software for autonomous driving. This is a really important part because you have to have a test for the software if it's working or not. So it's like reliable, can you build it in, and so on and so on, what kind of sensors you need. And this test just started last year, and it's running until 2021. So after 2021, they will see what these tests have brought up, and then they make a legislation for it. And you know, legislation takes time.
Forever.
So you're not seeing any legislation for level 4 until 2022 at least, and then it has to go in Europe to national parliaments. And what we're doing here in Europe and in this UN forum is also worldwide. So you will see autonomous cars. There's no doubt about it. You can see them now, especially in the US and in China, but they are only in a geofenced area, and they're always with a security driver, and that will stay for the next couple of years. But after 23, 24, you will see the first autonomous cars, fully autonomous level 4 cars on highways, autobahns, big roads, but in the cities, no.
And I think people need to be aware of the difference between autonomous drive actually coming out and the PR around autonomous drive really coming out. So Tesla and Elon Musk are going to be pushing this topic heavily. So it's not as if autonomous drive won't be in the news, because it will be everywhere, especially because he's promising another car by the end of the year. 2018 was the first time, I think.
2018 was the first time he promised that. Now he's promising again for at the end of 2020. And one interesting thing about that it's going to be, because it could be really, it could be exciting to see, because Tesla has a kind of different approach to everyone else in terms of autonomous driving. They're very, very software driven. Most of the other companies who are into autonomous drive or developing autonomous cars are more hardware driven, sensors. So that's why you see these huge sensors on all these cars when they're driving around. And Elon Musk said it last year in 2009, we don't need these sensors because we have a software that's predictive and et cetera, et cetera. It's a completely different approach, and it's going to be very interesting to see, is he right with that? Or is he's like, or are all the other companies, like literally everybody is on the right path? So
literally everyone else.
Literally everyone else. So it's going to be very interesting. But it's nice to see that things are happening in autonomous driving. But still, again, legislation will take a lot of time, also in the US, a lot of time until you will see autonomous cars on the highway. And I doubt that you're going to see like taxis in cities. You told me the story about Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, because Las Vegas and old Las Vegas rolled out a robo-taxi that would go along the strip, and literally 10 seconds after it was like, let's go down the street, someone threw themselves in front of it. And so it's not even that the technology wasn't there, it's that the people are not ready mentally for this. And so then he was like, oh no, the robo-taxi hit me. Let's claim all the insurance. Let's make it rain money on me. And so 2020 will be a year where we continue to educate the average consumer around what is happening, preparing them for what is coming, informing them about how the technology works. So it's not as if we're going to be hearing a lot about it, but it's not going to be about it really rolling out. And this comes to my next prediction.
Yes.
Of how we are going to get autonomous drive rolling out. And here was actually my sponsor for CES, and they rolled out a marketplace that was for sharing location data. And it's about, is the data valuable, how we can use it. It's totally anonymized, But the fundamental concept of the platform is you cannot do it alone, right? You need to be able to have a platform in order to make it happen, because no company can do it by themselves. No one can do it alone.
Well, Volkswagen tries it.
But Volkswagen will fundamentally partner with here as well.
Yeah, they are partner of here. So anyway, through Audi. But it's like you're totally right, and I'm totally with you on that. I think OEMs, automotive OEMs, starting to realize that they are not able to do the switch from being a analog manufacturer of cars
Hardware.
to a digital software company. They are not able to do that because it's like two different worlds.
It's two completely different worlds.
And it's too much of an investment.
Yeah.
And you can see, we talked about in our part one, why they are now not spending more money on car sharing or ride sharing. It's all about money. It's about how much money you invest. And they are not willing to go away or to tell their shareholders, hey, we have to make this switch. We have to become a software company. We have to invest heavily. We have to buy in key personnel from Apple, from Google, from like really expensive
like exactly
persons.
what VW Autonomy is doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have to invest heavily. That means you may be not getting that amount of money in the next 2 or 3 years from our shares. You get some money, but you're maybe not getting that amount of money that you used to. So our return on investment per year is maybe not 9%, it's maybe only 3% or 4%. And they're not willing to do that. And then comes here, which is part of it's a joint venture of German companies. They bought it a couple of years ago. And now here does this kind of marketplace where companies can throw in their data anonymized. So Daimler did it, and BMW did it already.
Mitsubishi's in there now.
Mitsubishi, Hyundai is in there. Ford I think in there. Intel is in there.
Investor.
So you can, and you don't have to be an investor in here to throw your data in. You can use this marketplace, which is driven by a blockchain. You can throw your data in, and then if you like, for example, a developer of an app, you can use this data. If you want to use it, you have to pay, of course, a fee for it. That's how they make money. But it's like they're giving you the data, you developers getting the data, and you can do something or you do an app. So you're doing the work for the OEMs in the end. It's a very nice idea, and I think here is doing a very good job with that. And it's the first time worldwide, I think, that somebody is doing it in that.
A platform provider for this type of thing. And I think that this is where we're going to see a trend emerge in 2020 with platform providers, system providers, and like making these like 30, ideally, maybe like 6 companies all in one. And we saw this in 2019 as well, but I think in 2020 we're going to start to see a massive number of announcements about various brands all collaborating with joint ventures. And so this was going to get complicated and it's going to get messy, but it's going to make it exciting.
That's my prediction. Last prediction, we only have 1 minute left, but it's my last prediction is that 2020 is the first year you see that the big software companies, tech companies, are moving into automotive companies. We know that Amazon have invested in Rivian, which is a small company that does a pickup truck, a fully electric pickup truck. I saw it in Geneva
and they have like an SUV.
And
that they
it's
show
an SUV.
that,
It's nice looking, but it's still not on road, so it's early. But Amazon did the investment into the company, which is, I think, an interesting thing. And I think it's also the path you see further. I see, for example, Microsoft investing in Ford. Not maybe this year, but in the coming years. And I also see other companies maybe investing in other OEMs, which are maybe not the premium German luxuries, but you can see investing in some Japanese companies or whatever.
From India.
Or Tata, yeah. But we are running out of time.
So Don and I have a whole bunch of different podcasts that we have available on Spotify, anywhere.
Oh yeah, we're running out of time.
Stop that. It's
oh my God,
it's still going. Feel the pressure.
Yes.
So this is our new sort of thing for 2020. We wanted to be more present on LinkedIn video, and the maximum's 10 minutes. But 2020 predictions take longer than 10 minutes. So let us know in the comments what you think. Listen to our podcast. They have long legs, so the content is still solid, even if it's from a month or so ago. We try to create long tail valuable content here, and we're having a whirl at video on LinkedIn. So let us know what you think. You can find us. You can find us on LinkedIn because
exactly.
Where that video
So
will be.
this is bye from Constanze, make her famous, and this is bye from me, Dawn, and from Nicole.
Bye guys.
Bye.